I'm sure you may have heard about Angel Flight. If you haven't, you should know about it. Doug Vincent is our guest for this portion. Doug, you started Angel Flight here, did you not?
Angel Flight in Oklahoma, yeah.
It's kind of a big deal. What is it? Define it for the folks at home.
Angel Flight is just private pilots using their own airplane to give someone a ride to and from medical treatment. Just like someone would take their car and give them a ride here locally to the doctors or the hospital, we do it a little bit further. And the pilot donates his own time, gas, airplane, does not get reimbursed in any way.
We have some video running here. You can take a look if you want to talk about that, any, while we're going along. These are the kinds of planes, the small ones that they'll be flying on?
Right. That's what we're flying on. That's some of our pilots there. That was the pilot of the year with our coordinator who does the coordination. This was a guy that actually flew with me on 9/11 when we flew that night.
What'd you do on 9/11?
We took blood from Oklahoma City as far as Louisville and met another airplane, and they took it in their airplane and brought it up to New York. We were the first airplane, civil airplane flying, and the only one that night.
I was going to say the skies were
Yes,
yours.
It was quiet. It was very spooky and different.
And they had you cleared for that?
They had us cleared for it. It took some phone calls, what have you, but they gave us the code, and we just went up there.
Holy Toledo, I had no idea you played that role.
Yeah, this was just that day that that guy on the picture with Oak City put it together, and I had the plane, so he went with me, so I had another pilot. Took all the seats out and loaded up blood in the back. And
that's an amazing
went
story.
That way.
Well, thank you for your service, my friend.
But
that's you played a role in history on that. I'm quite sure when the call went out for blood, they had no idea what they were facing.
No, they didn't, and as it turned out, they did not need blood, unfortunately, because of the bodies. I mean, they were just...
Oh, yeah, they were just...
There was no need for blood. But with Angel Flight in Oklahoma, when we started 25 years ago, there was voids all over the United States. And I just had an airplane, I wanted to volunteer. And I thought, well, there'd be other pilots want to do the same thing. So we just kind of started the organization and got other pilots, and now we established here, and there's filled up throughout the United States. They have various Angel Flight groups.
Is it established as a nonprofit? How does it work?
It's completely nonprofit. The pilot flies his own time, his own airplane, his own gas, and the organization just puts together the flights. Patients call, and they do the coordination of finding a pilot, determining where the patient's going to go. In Oklahoma, we're the only one with all volunteer. We've never had a paid employee.
Is that
here.
right?
And hopefully we can continue doing that, but it's just been individuals volunteering their time. Some of them not pilots.
You got men and women involved too,
yes,
don't you?
Definitely. In fact, the lady who does all the patient contact is a retired school principal, and she's been working with us for many years. And we have some pilots doing the coordination who contacts the other pilots to get them to go on the flights.
Tell me something, is there any kind of an age restriction involved here? Is this just for children that need help?
Anybody. When we first started, I thought, well, you know, your heart goes out to children. But I remember my wife saying, Doug, old people get sick too. Which if we flew just children, there'd be very few flights. We fly anybody. They do have to be ambulatory in that they have to get in and out of the airplane by themselves or with help. It's not a medical flight, it's just a ride. And it's, as one guy often said, he said, you got to get in the back end of a Volkswagen on sawhorses in small planes. You know, it's not big jets. We don't have stretchers. It's just a ride in an individual plane.
I'd be curious to know, because I know how you pilots are. You guys and gals all have stories.
Yeah.
What, since you've been with it from the beginning, can you share some of the stories with us, folks you've met, things you've seen?
Well, you get to flying, example is, I remember a young girl out of Coffeyville, Kansas, that we flew back and forth to Houston a lot for 2 or 3 years.
Cancer patient?
Cancer patient. She had part of her leg removed and the bone replaced, and you get to know the family. You extended family really with them. You know the grandmother, you know the kids, you knew her fiance, and unfortunately cancer got her, went to the lung and got her. There's other individuals that you fly that just, you hopefully remove some stress from them. You just fly them back and forth. We fly to Houston, for example, and there's a group in Houston that picks them up at the airport and gives them a ride to the hotel or the hospital. That they're just in conjunction.
Reminds me of a book I read many years ago called Wing and a Prayer. And I recall that there was a segment in this book where the writer let folks get inside the pilot's head just a little bit and realize that this guy was human. And he had weaknesses too. And when he saw things that troubled him, it weighed down on him just like it does everybody else. So these things have to stay with the men and women who make these flights.
Yes, it does. That you get to know people after a while, and a lot of times they're sick. They wouldn't be flying if they wasn't sick, and we lose a lot of them.
Sure.
In time. That does weigh on you. But you have an airplane because you like to fly.
And there are success stories too, aren't there?
Yes, there's success stories. There's people who, just like any cancer, we fly people now not as frequent for cancer treatment. Like they'll do their chemotherapy here, whereas it used to be all in Houston. So you'd fly people down, they had to take the chemotherapy, and they were coming back extremely sick. Now they'll tend to go to MD Anderson just to be monitored to see the doctor with the protocol, and they actually take the treatment here in Tulsa.
You fellas keep a logbook or a scrapbook of people you take pictures and...
Yes, there are. There's a lot of pictures over the years that individuals will take and submit to Angel Flight, and we'll put them on the website now.
How many pilots involved right now?
Right now in Oklahoma, we have about 100 pilots.
That's great. All across the state?
All across the state, in the surrounding area. We have some down in Houston, in Texas, who help us. We fly primarily Oklahoma and the surrounding region. Example, Arkansas to Tennessee, no. But if it's Arkansas coming here, we will fly that. There are other groups that we refer to. Our website is angelflight.com, and as a result, we get referrals from all over the United States.
No kidding.
So one of the things we do in our service is telling people where to go. Like today, I had some calls of people wanting to go to Montana or Utah, and you tell them the other groups they can talk to there. Just help them out, and this is the phone number, this is who to contact.
And you started this when?
In 25 years ago.
Okay. Golly, what an endeavor. What a great idea.
And it was
you
just
had.
started because I didn't have, at that time, there's no place to volunteer. And I just wanted to do it.
Were you a commercial pilot first?
No, just private pilot.
Always-
I've never been commercial. It's just a private pilot. We need more pilots now because it's very expensive. We're finding more and more pilots having trouble financially to fly. Some guys can fly a lot, and some can only fly once or twice a year. So that's okay. You know, that's 2 flights a year we couldn't cover otherwise.
So you have a pool then that you can draw.
We have the pool, and we have a website that pilots can go and check the availability of missions, or we get on the phone and start calling.
I would assume that the medical community is well aware of your organization.
It's like everybody else. Some are. The Cancer Treatment Center here in town is. MD Anderson is. But it's a continual fight getting the word out that we do exist.
What about burn patients?
We'll fly them to Galveston for follow-up treatment. But the emergency flight after burns, we don't do. We just, not emergency, we have to schedule it ahead of time. We don't have people standing by.
Yeah, yeah.
It's non-emergency and non-medical.
Does your wife ever go along?
Yeah, occasionally she will. She'll go along, or if I go back and forth to Louisiana a lot, So I'll stop by Houston on the way there and drop somebody off, or coming back, pick them up. Last week, I was in Louisiana. They had a man from Mississippi, near Jackson, Mississippi, and I picked him up and brought
Doug,
him
thank
back
you.
here.
There's a special place in heaven for guys like you. Thank you,
That's
buddy.
it. Thanks a lot. We
We'll see
appreciate
you
it.
again. We're out of time. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.